Oh, whiskey friends, far and wide. We are live with a little playback coming from my phone for some reason. How's it going, y'all? Happy Tasty Tuesday. I'm Eric, your humble mom user, dram in hand, beaming the whiskey tube signal far and wide from my hometown, home base of the Malt Muser Den, Chicago, Illinois, USA. We have ourselves a good show tonight. I'm very excited for the two whiskeys that I'm going to be tasting tonight, especially the sample. But before we get into that, like, comment, hit that subscribe if you haven't done it yet. And of course, before we do anything, I want to give shout outs to the good folks who have showed up early, who are ponied up to the virtual bar, the early birds who are in effect tonight, already getting the whiskey chat going. Let's say hello. First in the door this evening, it's our good friend Paul, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Cheers to the whiskey friends. Back at you, Paul. Great to have you on board. Fresh off his vacation. Well, he's been back for a week, but I'm sure it's still lingering considering he was in Scotland. Somewhere in Northern California, it's our good friend Donner Pass Whiskey. He is working. We'll look and check in out the replay. Donner Pass, I raise a glass to you. Jupiter, Florida, nipping at his heels. Mr. Gerbeck, hope everyone's doing well. Whiskey Nose, I forget your location. If you can remind me one more time, I won't forget again. Great to have Whiskey Nose in the house. The best avatar in Whiskey Tube. There's no question about it. East Texas. It's Daniel H. What's up, brother? How are you doing, sir? It is always good to have you here. Daniel is he's got a wrench in hand to keep all the troublemakers in line. He's gonna be a black cork night. You are correct, sir. And it looks like Gerbeck's got a new Riff Rye single barrel, and Daniel's sipping on some new Riff 4-year-old rye, 50%. Very cool. Love to see it. Ontario, Canada, our first friend over there in repping, holding things down up in Ontario, the one and only Mr. White, Peter White. Salancheva. Happy Tasty Tuesday. Quad Cities is in the house, just on the other side of Illinois. It's Chris. What up, Chris? Good to see you. I am sipping on a Stranahan's Diamond Peak right now. It's not a bad starter whiskey. Next week, I will be dropping a review of a Stranahan's, so keep an eye out for that. All right. James Morgan up in London town. Foggy London. What's good, man? Hello to you, sir. It's always nice to have James Morgan in the house. Mr. French, Duluth, Minnesota. You are not late. Great to see you, sir. And our friend in Maryland providing, just sent me a bunch of great samples. One that we tasted on last week's show. I think it was a Lafroig independent bottling. Delicious stuff. Michael B. Good evening to you, sir. Always good to see you, sir. Hello, hello. Top of the morning from Jack the Pickled Hound, beaming his signal from the Big Apple, New York City. From Chicago to New York, I raise a glass to you. And one of the two troublemakers over there in the Los Angeles, the city of angels, the one and only James Chang. Happy Tasty Tuesday to you, sir. Solange. The Sun Valley, Phoenix, Arizona. Leo holds it down in Arizona. What's up, man? Great to have you in the house. James Morgan says he's got some new Riff at the bottom of the blend. Some Jim Beam. Oh, there you go. Sipping some seagrass right now, says Leo. Oh, man. You can't go wrong with the seagrass. Definitely not. All right. We got 12 folks in the door already. Let's, kick things off. What do you say? Before we begin to the show, I have a sample here. If you've read the description, you know what this is already. If you haven't, what we're looking at here is a freaking 44-year-old Canadian Club Chronicles, 45% ABV. The oldest whiskey that I'm sure I've ever had. This was sent by Foodquig. I'm putting this in the glass now. It ain't going to be the first whiskey that we we check out. But I am putting it in the glass. We're going to let that get some oxygen. We'll be checking out at the bottom of the hour. Our featured malt tonight, we are going to be uncorking a bottle of New Riff Kentucky Straight Malted Rye whiskey, 6 years old, 50% ABV. We're going to be checking this bad boy out in a sec. Our good friend Swami's in the house. What up, man? You will be. 3 weeks. Swami is taking a trek to Milwaukee, my hometown, just up the road. So I'm going to be working on swinging up there to have a drink with the Swami Swam himself. He may not do Whiskey Tube anymore, but his impact is felt to this day. Is that not true, Swami? It's great to see you, man. And he's got a Booker's and his answer in the glass. Nice, Mike. What else is everybody drinking on tonight? All right, let me get this open and tell you why we're doing this rather interesting whiskey tonight. So, over the weekend, I took a little bit of a, I guess he says, I took a bit of a road trip down to Cincinnati, Ohio, catch a ball game, see the Red Stadium. Nice city, good people, nice ballpark. And what I didn't realize was that the hotel that I had booked was right across the street from the New Riff Distillery. If you're not familiar with New Riff, they've been around since like 2016, doing bourbons and ryes here in the U.S. There's that black cork that Daniel was talking about. I got a New Riff Glencairn glass because I, of course, paid a visit to the New Riff Distillery. It was right outside my window. What was I going to do? And they had a bunch of good stuff in their gift shop. I did get a barrel pick, which was quite nice, of one of their single barrel ryes. I cracked that open. It's good. But what we're going to look at tonight is this one. It is a 6-year-old malted rye whiskey bottled at 50%. It's a sour mash. Malted rye, and I should mention this is non-chill filtered as well because they don't chill filter anything over at New Riff. This malted rye, this is the oldest whiskey that they've put out to date. And I grabbed this in the gift shop because you can't really find it anywhere. It was released late last year, but not exactly the easiest thing to find these days. So what's interesting about it, of course, is not only that it's 6 years old and it's the oldest thing New Riff has put out, it's 100% malted rye. So malting, of course, like you get with Scotch whiskey, so you add water to the grain. It is helping it germinate, converts those starches into sugars. And you're looking at a bottle of 100% malted rye here. A rare bottle indeed. In terms of what it's actually made out of. New Riff, pretty much known for their ryes. They do a lot of malting of rye whiskey there. Probably one of the few distilleries that does as much rye malting as it. It's a hard grain to malt. It's very sticky. It's not the easiest thing for them to make a whiskey out of. So this is pretty damn cool. I got this at the, well, first of all, I'd never seen it before, but I got it at the recommendation of the guy working there. So shout out to the folks at New Riff. Very, very cool, knowledgeable folks working there. Worth a visit if you get the chance. So I decided to pick this bottle up. It is bottled in bond without chill filtration, and they have that embossed right on here, which is just great to see from a whiskey distiller. As I said, 50% ABV, and it's 100% malted rye. So I'm going to let that get a little bit of oxygen. See where this takes us. It's 6 years old, so we're going to give it 5 minutes or so, maybe. Probably less because I'm pretty damn eager to try this. Anecdotally, I was also able to try their 6-year-old malted rye sherry finish. Unfortunately, they were all sold out of it in their gift shop. It is a brand new release. There were folks coming in to get the bottles that they had ordered. So while I was sitting at the bar doing a tasting of some of their other stuff, there were people just filing in to get the bottles that they had ordered. I did get to taste it at the bar. It was quite nice. My evolution of starting to appreciate sherry finished ryes and bourbons, it's been a process. It's something I've never thought I would find very interesting, but They do a damn good job with it. Hopefully, we'll be able to see that bottle around soon, but it is their malted rye bottle that's 6 years old, and then it is finished in PX and Oloroso, a combination of 12 casks. So they're doing something pretty cool, and a lot of exciting stuff coming out of here. So we're going to check out this 6-year-old malted rye. I'd be love to hear if anybody in the chat has had this before. Finish off that. Clean the palate. We got 12 folks in. Let's do this. Swami's working. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in, saying what's up. Oh, I have on my desk is a Bardstown Fusion number 4. I have that bottle too. That's a good bottle. Folks saying hello to the Swam. Old Potrero malted rye bottle kill. That's right. They do a malted rye too. There's not a lot, but right across the street. Yeah, literally, man. I mean, that's how obtuse I was about the whole thing. I was going down there mostly just to see Cincinnati, and the hotels were a little cheaper on the Kentucky side. So we were going to walk to the ballpark, and all of a sudden I look out my window. I'm like, holy shit, New Riff is right here. So this is all very unexpected. But you got to roll with it, right? He's finishing off the Evan Williams 1783. Man, I've not had that one. What's the verdict on that? Definitely. Is the malted rye now a regular release? I'm not sure. I think so. They said that it was initially just released in Kentucky, and then I think since late 2021 when it was released, it's making its way around to other stores. I think this will be something that you can get your hands on. I wouldn't be surprised if the age statement starts going up as this distillery gets older, but currently this is the oldest thing that they bottle for the public. So Jack the Pickled Hound says he's picked up a bottle of the malted rye, but I haven't opened it yet. So this is a clutch. All right, well, I'm going to give you my best tasting effort here. Michael Blesley, tasted it as part of a Jack Rose New Riff tasting last year. Thought it was really nice. Great. Seagrass has spoiled my rye. Yeah, that'll do that. Daniel H., who was it that poured it? Oh, I wish I could remember her name. Maybe I'll remember. I'll come back to that. All right, so here we go. Leo says it was me. Good stuff. Before we get into this, I should mention Patreon supporters. In your email inbox, you will see a whiskey review. And that whiskey review is of the Ben Romick Contrast Peat Smoke Sherry Cask Finish. For everybody else, that will drop on Friday. If you do want early access to whiskey reviews, among other things, you can join on Patreon and support the show. What's the mash bill of the malted rye? Should be in the back. Yes, it is 100% malted rye. Evan Williams, 1783, good in my opinion. Good to hear. Can get New Riff bottle in Bon Ryan, Ontario, but over $100. Ooh, that's too much. Yeah, I should mention a retail price on this to complete the tail tape. This was $60 out of their gift shop. I believe that is MSRP. The other bottle that I got is a Randall's Pick, which is one of their very nice. This was the feature. They had bourbon. Their entire gift shop was filled with 3 different single barrels of rye, 3 different single barrels of bourbon, and the malted rye. So this is one that they highly recommended. This was a pick. This is a single barrel, about 5 years old, give or take 4.5. 54.55. This is a bottled in this is a barrel proof single barrel rye. I've already got into it. It's quite delicious. But it is not malted rye as this one is. This one is, I believe it's their typical 95% rye, 5% corn, I'm assuming. Yeah, I think so. That's their standard. Anyways, New Riff is kind of I guess I would say they've elevated themselves to being one of the more noticeable. I mean, obviously their bottle with the dark top and the clear bottom. I'd say they've elevated themselves to kind of one of the more sought after of the kind of new craft bourbon rye here in the United States. But anyways, so let's get into this. We are looking at a 6-year-old fully malted rye. I am not sure what to expect from this, as the only one I had sherry in it, so that changes it. It is non-chill filtered. It is, of course, natural color, because anything that is considered bourbon or rye here in the United States, they are not allowed to add color in, unlike Scotch. And it is bottled at 50% ABV. That is the color we're looking at, and that is freaking gorgeous. Look at that. A nice kind of pale, almost reddish amber. What are we going to get on the nose here? Balboa rye. Yeah, I heard about that one too. Okay, so here we go. I am very curious about this. Of course, I'm going to drink it in the new Riff glass because I did buy one. It's got pretty nice legs on it. On the nose, 6-year-old malted, 100% malted rye. Wow. So, again, malted rye. This is a completely different animal. Floral and fruity is the way I want to explain this. The typical rye spice that you get off of a bourbon that has some rye in the mash bill, or a rye whiskey for that matter, that kind of sharp herbal, sometimes dill note, non-existent here. This is a much sweeter on the fruity side. It's creamier. It's more like, I'm getting things like oats, steel cut oats, a lot of fresh fruit, apple, strawberry, banana. Maybe not. Maybe a little bit, actually. There's hints of cinnamon. It's amazing how light, creamy, and floral this is in comparison to any other rye whiskey I've ever had. This is a different animal entirely. Almost has a perfume-like quality. I will say off the bat, the nose is interesting. I don't love it. But I also, this is a different, we gotta give this thing its day in court. But the nose, there's a bubblegum note, a little bit of oak char. So really kind of a floral sweetness, like a light sweetness going on here. Okay, let's give it a taste. New Riff malted rye, 6-year-old, bottled in bond. Happy Tasty Tuesday, y'all. Solange, here we go. Oh, wow. This is... Wow, this is very, very interesting. Let me do another one. Okay. Juicy and spicy on the palate. Medium viscosity, medium body. It kind of surges as it develops. There's fruit. There's this kind of malty, again, a kind of oatmeal, not like a stout, not like an oatmeal stout. This kind of grain, malted oats, honey sweetness, dark chocolate underneath that's kind of drying and giving it some heft and body. Those florals are still there. The perfume quality as it goes into the finish, peppery. Just, wow. Slightly bubblegum, slightly strawberry, spice. This kind of goes from floral and sweet to spice and sweet. The floral does dissipate quite a bit. It's a much more fulsome whiskey. It doesn't have those, again, that spice of rye that you would expect from a rye whiskey. It's a much more rounded, sweeter, and kind of full experience. As I go back in the nose, I'm starting to pick up a little bit more of the rye, but again, this isn't like your regular rye. This is very, very interesting. I'm starting to get vanilla and almost like confectionery notes to complement, again, the fruit, which again is sweet, floral, and a bit of oak char in the back. This is really interesting. This is different than any rye whiskey I've ever had. All right, we'll do one more sip and then we'll try water. The palate is just fantastic. Full flavored, but even though it's just 6 years, it's not sharp. There are no edges really to this. It does have youth, but I'm telling you, it comes in the form of just a shortened development, not in the form of like edgy, sharp notes. It is very thick and creamy. There's a dark chocolate thing that is just dragging this into the finish with these fruit notes, cocoa. I mean, one of the richer dark chocolate notes that I think I've had. And again, this kind of oatmeal, maple, slightly maple, bright fruits. You're really looking at a spice and sweet development and finish versus a floral and sweet nose. It's about a medium finish. I mean, this thing is not dragging on forever. It is just 6 years old. I'm loving the bottled in bond nature of this. I am loving the fact that this is not chill filtered. We're going to put a little bit of water on it. A very unique whiskey so far. We're going to just do like 3 or 4 drops here. Okay. Here we go on the nose with water. There it is. So a bit more of that kind of sharper spice that you get off of a rye whiskey is coming up here, but still it's not. I mean, this is the most rounded, tame rye whiskey outside of Wilderness Trail that I've had. Bit of that characteristic rye spice coming through now on the nose with water, but still very fruity, very floral. Wow. You know, in many ways, a malted rye, because I mean, I'm thinking about Scotch, right? I'm thinking about a fully malted barley whiskey. Now, rye, of course, is a much more pungent, intense grain than barley, but 100% malted here, it is taking on characteristics that you just would only see of 100% malted of anything, right? So like a Scotch whiskey being 100% malted barley, you're really getting like a rounded version of rye here, just like you get a rounded version of Scotch. Really nice cask like influence coming in. So with water, a bit spicier, but still floral. Good depth, good complexity. Here we go. But this is quite good. Oak-driven, chocolate, fruit, caramel, like slight caramel, vanilla, bit more herbal, medium finish. I think I like this without water the most, but you could really go either way. Okay. I gotta taste it all. it is showing a bit more of its rye character with the addition of water on this. What a strange, interesting whiskey this is. Okay, so here we go. Again, so this is New Riff, bottled in bond, 6 years old, 100% malted rye, non-chill filtered. I think, first of all, I would say for the Scotch whiskey drinker among us, which is, I would say, probably everybody who's tuned in right now, all 17 of you, this is right up your alley. It doesn't have the cloying, kind of overwhelming sweetness of many bourbons, but it does have some of the characteristic of the bourbon cask. And it comes through pretty dark and pretty charred, which I like. It's subtler and more sophisticated than most rye whiskeys you'll have. Again, this reminds me in some ways of a more rounded version of the Wilderness Trail Pioneer Select rye, which was in my top 5 whiskeys of the year last year. This is quite good at the price it's at, $60. It's really hard to hate on it. I'm very excited to explore this. I think for the price, you're getting a really, really interesting whiskey here at $60. This is, again, I bought this at the distillery this weekend, so prices may vary. I wouldn't go much higher than maybe 75 on this. I like the age statement. It is just this is a whiskey, maybe a Scotch drinker's rye. This is a bourbon drinker's rye who doesn't like a lot of spice. It has the subtlety that Scotch drinkers would like. It has the, in contrast, sort of bold, fullness that you would expect out of a good punchy whiskey for a bourbon drinker. Nice little mint note at the end. This is going to be a fun one. I will do a full review, but I will tell you on first tastings here of my first ever 100% malted rye whiskey, I'm quite impressed. This is a tasty one. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. On the 100-point scale, 86, 87. A very competent whiskey, a nice age statement, presented with integrity, and is pushing boundaries. And that's all well and good, but if it doesn't actually deliver, then what's the point? This does. I dig it. This is a really nice bottle. This is probably my favorite thing from New Riff that I've had, and this includes the bourbon and the regular rye. It's going to be interesting to see how far they go with the age statements on this. But again, this is at least a 6-year-old, no chill, 100% malted rye. I could see really sitting around enjoying this as an easy sipper with a little bit more. It's a little bit more interesting, right? I mean, it's a little more interesting than your standard bourbon, in my opinion. But it drinks kind of like a bourbon. Well done. Yeah, 3.5 is going to be my prelim on this. We'll see where it goes. It does say it's a sour mash. I can't really tell you if I detect much in terms of that, but I'm glad I picked this up. At $60, this is well worth it. Well worth it. This is a good, neat whiskey. I don't know that this would stand up in a cocktail all that well. I think you want something a little sharper. But it could round something off nice if you want the spirit to be not the point of attention. So anyways, 3.5. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm glad I picked it up. Cheers, New Riff. Again, it was a nice time visiting their distillery and, and their gift shop for that matter. So if you ever find yourself around Newport, Kentucky, I would recommend swinging on over there. It's right across the river from Cincinnati. Okay. I'm going to pour just a little bit more. Yeah. As we await the second tasting tonight. I'm going to just have a little bit more of this. I'm going to do it neat. I think it was a little better neat. And let me catch up on the chat. God, that oatmeal thing is really there. Let's see, where did I leave off? I apologize in advance if I miss anybody. Cheers again, everyone. Yeah, back to you, Whiskey Nose, Slanch. I was going to ask you if you tried Stock and Bros Red Blend. I have not. 50% ABV, correct. Some folks doing some crosstalk. Did it have the malt corn rye mix? Oh, pungent is the best adjective for malt rye. Yeah, I would even say just rye in general. This, again, it's like it's a rounded off rye spice, right? I mean, normally I would say rye is very kind of dill, minty, herbal. This, it's that, but it's like the volume is turned down. It's rounded off. It's more fulsome. It's more earthy and herbal. Everyone join the Patreon community. Hey, man, thank you. Appreciate that. That is the link if you want to join Patreon. Solange. Northern California is in the house with Dram Dude, our good friend Solange. Great to see you, Dram Dude. How are you, sir? Best MWS bottles unanimous with Mortlock 18. All right. Gary's in the house. San Francisco. I'm a fan of good rye or bourbon just about any day. I'm kind of with you on that. Vancouver's here as well with Indy. What's up, Indy? How are you? New Riff is expensive in Canada. Yeah, Peter White was just mentioning that. That's an unfortunate, that's very unfortunate. Ben Demon Hunter up there in Alberta. What's up? Had a guy comment on my Knob Creek picture saying it was very bad bourbon. Knob Creek's not bad bourbon. It's very competent bourbon. Jack says New Riff does a good job. The other bottle I have is this single barrel proof rye. Yeah. I have one of those as well. Excellent, man. Excellent stuff. New Riff reminds me of Sazerac Sword Agave. I could see that. I think I have to quit drinking, says Indy. Well, if you're asking yourself that question, then the answer is probably yes. But we're not here to counsel you. maybe there's some counselors in the house, but everything with moderation or something. Jam Dude has one of the best. Yes, he does Instagram profiles. If you've do check him out if you are on Instagram. Jam Dude knows what's up. He's a great photographer. Anyways, 3.5 out of 5 here. And I'm telling you, this nose just gets better and better. I love it. The floral is, I think this is gonna, with oxidation, it's gonna tame it a little bit. It's a little bit in your face right now in a perfumey way, but I feel like this could really mellow into a nice kind of grain-driven thing. Like I'm telling you, the oats character of this is just huge. It almost smells like a Christmas cookie with a little anise in it. Not a lot, but just a subtle amount, like a German Christmas cookie. I'm a big fan of this. The more I drink this, the more I'm liking it. I'm good. I'm going to stick with the 3.5. We'll do a full review. This one warrants a full review for sure. But I'm as somebody who's never had a fully malted rye whiskey before, I'm pretty impressed with this. It does have youth. I mean, there's no doubt. It's a short development. It's not giving you layer upon layer. But there's a little bit of action here. I dig it. Okay. New Riff did not pay me to do this. I bought this glass of my own volition as well as the bottle. So no worries there. And, I'd probably give it a higher score if I was getting paid for it. But we don't do that on the channel. I don't accept free stuff from distilleries. And that allows me to stay independent. And, you don't got to worry about me selling you guys a bunch of bullshit. Speaking of, I think I have a good idea what's not going to be bullshit. Not that I'm aware of. I think that this is all in-house stuff. They might have been doing MGP, but I can't verify that. Don't believe I've tried anything from New Riff. You should. I'm assuming you probably can run into some of their stuff on the West Coast there. It's quite good. Okay, we're going to move on to the second sample. And this is a sample, or the second whiskey, I should say. I'm going to take the Whiskey Friend, Alan the Whiskey Friend coin. If you haven't subscribed to him, you definitely should. This is coin number 100. And it has been sitting atop this whiskey. What is this whiskey? Well, if you caught the top of the show, you will know this is a 44-year-old Canadian Club Chronicles series. Bottled at 45%. So this is going to be the oldest whiskey I've ever had. This sample was generously provided by the one and only Foodquig. If you haven't heard of him, I don't know where you've been, but you should do a YouTube search for Foodquig and send him a subscription, because the man is a legend in the whiskey tube world. And he and I have been swapping samples for many years now, I would say. At least 3 or 4 years. And he has sent me a 44-year-old whiskey. He gets his hands on a bunch of Canadian whiskey because he is in Canada. British Columbia, to be exact, rather. And he has sent me a sample of 44-year-old Canadian Club. Now, here in the States, you see maybe 1 or 2 different versions of Canadian Club, and the Canadian Club is not exactly a whiskey that I buy off the shelf. However, what we are looking at here is a 44-year-old Canadian Club. I'm going to clean the palate just a bit here. In fact, I should probably go and grab a cracker and eat it, just because this is a 44-year-old whiskey. So if you can spare me just a moment, I will return in just a sec. All right. I've dried out the palate a bit. It's the best I can do. So here we go. So again, this is from Foodquig. I'd love to hear in the chat any of our Canadian friends, Peter White, Indy, Paul in Montreal. Any of y'all have ever had this? Let me know. I don't know how much this costs. I don't know what it's aged in, but it is a 44-year-old Canadian Club. And, I'm going to just say I got respect for this off the bat, because this is the oldest whiskey I've ever had. So we're going to check this out. And here we go. This is the color. It's quite a nice color. Michael Besley's got a Weiser's 35. Yes, join me. The cracker never works for me. A little bit of cold coffee. Yeah, I hear you. It's done the best it can. Somebody tells me if this is as good as it should be at 44 years old, it better be able to show up. It's at 45% too. So here we go. It is a Quig-sized dram, as you can see. So here we go. Canadian Club Chronicles, 44 years old. That is older than me. This whiskey. So I don't know what to expect. slow moving legs, but it is a Canadian, so I don't know. It'll be maybe a little bit lighter. We'll find out. And here's Peter White and Michael Besley. Those old Canadian clubs are actually phenomenal value. I bought a Canadian Club 40 for $2.50 Canadian. That's incredible. CC Chronicles is all corn after aging. A small amount of sherry and rye were added, and 9% of the age statement would not be disclosed. Peter White, thank you, sir. So there you go, folks. That's the tail of the tape here on this whiskey that we're about to taste. Here it is. 44-year-old Canadian Club Chronicles on the nose. Sweet. Slightly nutty. But mostly apples, pears, almond. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon. The nose is honestly somewhat straightforward. There's a bit of like a grape rind or like a almost like a slightly kind of citric tart note. I can't quite put my finger on it. So here we go. We're going to give it a taste. The nose is okay, but this is a 44-year-old Canadian Club, the oldest whiskey I've ever had. Solange to the 17 folks in the chat. I appreciate your guys' support. Keep an eye out this Friday. A whiskey that I'm very excited about. Ben Romick. Contrast Peat Smoke. Sherry Cask Matured. That review will drop Friday. Patreons, it's already in your inbox. Check it out. Leave me a comment. Here we go. 44-year-old Canadian Club Chronicles, 45% ABV, courtesy of Foodquig. Solange. Wow. So on the initial taste, it is a light, medium to medium light viscosity, but velvety. And then you get not one, but two surges of flavor after the swallow when you go into the finish. Dry honey, vanilla. Oh man, it's hanging around for a minute here. Brought to you by Nura. I love it. God, the honey note, the almond note, the honey roasted almond note. Really quite nice. I'm going to do another sip here. Wow. A deceptive whiskey. It hits the palate pretty relaxed and pretty refined and somewhat on the lighter side, but boy, does it develop as you drink it. Would I say that this drinks like something I would assume is 44 years? I don't know. Probably not. It still has a little bit of edginess to it, but I'm not complaining. Vanilla, slight apple, caramelized apple. Vanilla, pear. I don't know what the price is. I think Peter White might have shared it, but there is a nice backbone to this. It's got a bit of oak char, but it's so rounded and so refined that it's not even like, asserting itself. It's almost just like another light note. but you can tell it's the oak char. Let me just take a look at the price on this. I'm curious what a bottle of this would run. Canadian Club Crown, I mean, you're looking at about $400 USD, give or take. Cheapest I'm seeing is $250. I don't believe it. Okay, this is not a joke. I mean, this is a really expensive whiskey. Great nose, subtle, refined. There's a warm gingerbread, banana bread kind of thing going on. I'm going to put a bit of water on this. And if you're kind of new to the whiskey world, I will say as age increases, the ABV becomes less relevant in terms of how much water you put on. Now, younger whiskeys, usually the higher the ABV, the more I'll put on, just to try to open it up. On a whiskey like this, whiskeys as they get older are more delicate. So this is, yeah, it's 45% ABV. It's 44 years old, but I'm literally going to do 2 drops here. I don't want to, I really don't want to like go too far with this and ruin this sample. So you can always add more water. You can't retract it. So be careful. I love it. So here we go. Just 2 drops of water. Completely different nose. Way more floral. Way more strawberries, raspberry, Greek yogurt parfait kind of thing. Warm baked honeyed bread. Very nice. A bit sharper too, perfumey. Seems to be the theme tonight. Here we go. Man. It hits the tongue that's so thick. It's not the most robust whiskey, but I'm telling you, the initial palate is so milkshake-like. I mean, it's just thick. Honey, apple, caramelized pear, slight nuttiness, a bit of oak char, and it's still just going and going. A fucking fantastic whiskey. Is this worth running out and buying? I don't know. At the end, if I was going to compare this to like a Scotch, this is like a 30-year-old aged Glenmorangie. It's like it's kind of in that realm. A lighter profile, but a substantial one given the age. Like a lot of whiskeys at this age wouldn't work. It would be too oaky. It would be, no bourbon would work at this age. It would be over oaked. You could definitely do Scotches, but it would depend on what it's aged in, assuming that they know what they're doing and they're not putting it in like first fill bourbon. This would work. With the price that I see here in the US, which we're looking at $400, I mean, is this something that you should run and buy? I can't say it's not the next best thing. There are definitely some Scotch whiskeys, Bruichladdich, Blackguard, Balvenie tons, right around the same price that I would probably drink over this. But this is a very impressive dram. I think it's in that 375. I think 375 is an appropriate score for this. I respect this whiskey a lot. I may not want a whole bottle of it, but I respect it. And maybe it'll creep up into that 4 realm. Right now it's in that like 88, 89 range, maybe 88. There's just no edges to this at all. You get a nice spice surge on the back end, cinnamon, slightly herbal, kind of parsley. Man, wow. No, I'm gonna go a little higher. This is a 4, and I know 4 for me is like you should buy it, but keep cost. I mean, I would. There are you know what, I can't go 4. I got to go 375. You can't. There are alternatives that I think are just worth more money, and I think for Scotch drinkers, which most of you are, or bourbon drinkers, this will not meet the moment for you in many ways. The subtle. This is a advanced whiskey drinker's whiskey. I think maybe even more advanced than me, and I'm not that advanced. There are just so many notes going on here that are like subtle. I don't drink a lot of 40-year-old whiskey, so this is a very different animal. I would just say on average, I think most scotches at 40-some-year-old age, based on the ones I've had at 20-some-year-olds, would probably be a little bit more sophisticated. But again, we're splitting hairs. A very, very good dram. I'm going to sit at 375. Thank you, Foodquig, for the sample. Wow, what a whiskey. I could sit and nose and drink this all night. Every sip is like music to your ears. Great stuff. Okay. And we got 20 folks in. Yeah, price-wise, no doubt. No doubt. Should have had a cracker this day. The President's riding motorcade just passed by me. I was getting off work and down. Wow, how cool is that? Yeah, you don't see that every day. I lived in D.C. for a while where those things were weirdly commonplace. But yeah, it's always a treat to see, no matter where you fall. We drink too much cast wing. Yeah, that's true. Clayton Cup 40. Some last time was amazing. And then I tried the 44. I hear you on that. The 44 is the only Chronicles that's 100% corn, nothing blended in, says Peter White. Yeah, Peter White knows what's up. Jack. This water that I have here in this bottle is better than the batch 2 66% Alberta Premium. That whiskey was trash. Yes, definitely shortbread. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt, man. Yeah, I mean, geez, dude, Quig will probably do a review of this soon. You are so right on the shortbread cookie. That kind of honeyed, almost bready note, almost like sourdough a little bit. Yeah. So I should give folks a little bit of preview of next week. Oh, Canada, says Michael B. Indeed. Fly the maple leaf, brother. So next week, it's going to be one of two things. I have had a bottle of Bunnahabhain, one of the Ficio releases from the festival. It has been sitting delayed in customs for over 2 weeks. This was supposed to be a show 2 weeks ago. If it shows up in the next week, we will be doing it next Tuesday as an uncorking video. If it doesn't show up, we are going to do a 4, perhaps 5-way. Daniel H. probably knows a couple things about 5-ways. We will be doing a Ben Nevis like extreme taste off. Where we're gonna, I have a bunch of Ben Nevis bottles, varying in age, varying in maturation, and we're gonna do a huge Ben Nevis tasting. So one of those two shows is going to be coming next Tuesday. Sadly, I wish I could tell you in advance what it would be, but I don't know because, of course, my Theseal bottle of Bunnahabhain is stuck in customs, and it's been there for 2 weeks. I was supposed to do this 2 weeks ago, actually on Bunnahabhain Day. This is the world we live in, so it's fine. There's chatting about the sugar cookie. Yeah, you're not wrong, James Morgan. Biscuit, yeah. Isn't the cookie a biscuit? Right. Okay, so just to recap, we tasted an uncorking of the Malted Rye tonight. Yours are stuck in customs as well. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Yeah, bro, dude, they've been sitting there for 2 weeks. They're in a place outside Chicago. I could drive over there. I'm like, yeah, 2 weeks of it, man. I have a Bunnahabhain octave cask matured sherry, which is one of their Theseal releases. As soon as I get it, we'll do a live show on it. The other one is the 2022 Glen Scotia. Yours is still stuck too. Yeah. This is the sad reality. Ooh, I have a couple Ben Nevis bottles that are two extremes of the spectrum. Yeah, we're gonna do a couple. So I have the regular 10. I have a 21. I have this one from the House of Gluns, 5-year-old, 46% single cask, picked by a place here in Chicago. We'll uncork that. And then I have another one. I think it's a signatory. So we got a couple of them coming up. That should be fun. Dude, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I've been waiting. I mean, I was supposed to do that 2 weeks ago. So it is what it is, you know. I'm not stressing. We have plenty of good whiskey to drink, to sip on, to do all that stuff with. I'm just a little peeved because I really wanted to do it on Bunnahabhain Day, and unfortunately, it was not able to make it here at the time it was supposed to. You got all three of the Calvados originally broke in shipments, so they. Oh man! Oh, so you got okay, and you got they did like 3 or 4 bottlings this year, right? Didn't Bunnahabhain? Yeah, very nice, man. But that sucks. I mean, at least you'll get your bottling back. I have 2 single cask Ben Nevis, a red wine finish, and a bourbon barrel plus the kit. Wow, nice. Hey, JK135, what's up? I just bought Chieftain's Ben Nevis 13, like 2015 yesterday. I opened it today, and the cork promptly snapped in it. Are you sure it wasn't a wild turkey? Because that's usually what happens with most old wild turkeys. Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. I hope you're able to enjoy the whiskey nonetheless. Ah, interesting. There's a union strike with British Airways. Maybe that's what's causing it. Good. Yeah, Mom User, where did y'all get yours from? You know, I'd have to look back. I don't remember the exact website it was. Some British place. Maybe it was Whiskey World. Probably. Getting Ben Nevis is a wet dream. Really, even over there in Alberta, you guys don't see the Ben Nevis? Yeah, that makes sense. It was probably a Whiskey World thing. So, anywho, this New Riff Malted Rye, I'm glad I got to visit their distillery, even though I didn't plan on it. But it was across the street from my hotel this weekend. 3-5 375 on the 44-year-old Canadian Club Chronicles. Keep an eye out for this one, y'all. At $60, a 6-year-old malted rye, 50% bottled and bond. That's a damn good price. I really can't say anything bad about it. And Jack the Pickled Town, I know you have a bottle of this sitting around your house. I'll be curious to hear what you say about it. I will probably do a full review in the next 2 months. So I'll look for your comment on there amongst others. But okay, so with that, we are at about the end of happy hour. Again, I appreciate y'all. If you haven't yet, smash that thumbs up before you head out. And if you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you subscribe. It helps the channel quite a bit, no matter what you do. Patreons, check out your email inbox because you have a advanced release of my review of the Ben Romick Contrasts Peat Smoke Sherry Cask Matured. And if you haven't checked it out, you really should, because that, I'm telling you right now, full disclosure, that is a whiskey that could easily make my top 5 of the year. In fact, it's almost a shoo-in at this point. For everybody else, check that out on Friday. Unfortunately, you can't find it too much in the U.S. just yet, but you should be able to get your hands on it overseas, or check out your good local store. So great. With that, man, it's been great to hang out with y'all. I will wrap up the happy hour now. Next week, I will have either, again, Bunnahabhain Facile uncorkings or a Mega Ben Nevis face-off. I will be doing a sample sent by Michael B over in Maryland. So thank you for those samples, Michael B. We'll be doing that. And until then, everybody stay safe, be well. I raise an empty glass to you because I've had such good whiskey tonight. So much love to everybody, man. Salan Shiva. Take good care.